Hello Taurus, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for October for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to outline first of all some of the key things that are going to be coming up for you this month, and there's such an exciting solar eclipse, particularly specific for your sign. But also Mars, the planet of passion, is going to go into a retrograde later this month, but it is in a tricky right angle with Neptune for the whole of October, so I need to share that with you. But Jupiter's going to be moving back into a much more sociable zone for you, and Pluto and Saturn are going to end their retrogrades. But it is that solar eclipse which occurs on the 25th of this month, which is incredibly important, not just for the last 10 days of this month, but also for the next 6 months of your situation. And I can't wait to share that with you. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a roadmap that can guide you for the rest of your life, that can give you searing insights, but also within my special package of 30% off your year 2023 personal forecast, and you'll get the rest of this year free. Please see the link beneath this video. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. But if you're a regular follower, thank you so much for all your views. So October begins for you, Taurus, with the Sun and also your ruler both in House 6. House 6 is very much to do with practicalities, refinements, where we can get a little bit more ordered. It can also be where we think about our diet, but where we can also pitch our energies into being supportive of others, being a bit more sacrificing and attending to obligations. Now, Venus suggests that when it comes to your work situation, because you can be prepared to collaborate and be supportive in this way, this could lead to some kind of opportunity for advancement, especially on October the 22nd, when the two come into an exact conjunction. So that really could be very exciting. But of course, Mercury has been in a retrograde in the part of your situation to do with sociability, mixing and mingling, and even the potential for a date. And if there has been some confusion or cancellations or rearrangements, you'll be pleased to know that on the 2nd, Mercury goes direct. And if things have been a little bit helter-skelter, this will help you to just feel that a little bit of clarity is starting to come through. Also on the 8th, Pluto, the planet of transformation, which has been having an enormous impact on your sign in particular since 2008, urging you to change up your life, make it more spontaneous, not be so adhered to the routines which have made you feel so comfortable and secure in the past. But since April the 29th, Pluto has been in a retrograde. If you've been slogging through some exams or some higher educational pursuits, or travel has been featuring in your situation in a powerful way, or you've been thinking a lot about your higher philosophies, or there's been some kind of dispute of a legal nature, I think things can settle down with Pluto going direct at this point. But the full moon, which occurs on the 9th, is in your 12th house. The 12th 6th house axis is very much to do with balancing our physical and more practical reality with the domain of the more spiritual, psychological and emotional part of our situation. Now, if you're someone who's very open to those areas, you may feel very integrated anyway, and that you have quite a holistic approach, certainly to your health and welfare. But actually, there's a really dynamic grand air trine that underpins this event, and it goes on between Mars in your 2nd house of everyday resources and of the Sun in your 6th house of organisation and Saturn in your 10th house of professional hopes. Now Saturn at this stage of the month is still retrograde, but I actually feel that something around your professional situation may be predicated a change from this particular event. So over the next 2 weeks, particularly with the Sun and Libra in a very constructive link to Saturn, that something that maybe has been a problem or a worry can come into the open, but you have an opportunity to really say how you feel, and because of the diplomacy of Venus, you can articulate the detail well because of the 6th house, but also express your desires. So if you feel that your talents aren't being recognised, or you feel that you're just being taken for granted, or you feel that you're always supporting others, both emotionally or practically, this is a chance for you to state your truth and to push back and firm up your boundaries. So it can be a very valuable time. Now on the 10th, Mercury makes its way into your 6th solar house. So if there is a need to just refine any details a little more precisely, this is a good time to do so. If you have been waiting to hear about a job application, perhaps one that you applied to from the end of August through to about the 3rd week of September, and you may have even thought that it's never going to happen, good news could be heard now, and that can be very encouraging. Now the 12th does see a square between Mars and Neptune in an exact 90-degree angle. But you know, this aspect is actually very powerful right through this month and right through next month too, and also for part of March next year. What does it mean particularly for you? Well, Mars is in the part of your horoscope to do with your desire to firm up the key foundations of your world, but the 2nd house can also be about our self-worth. And it can also be about money, just that everyday transactional situations that we find ourselves in. Now Neptune obviously can be a very spiritual influence, but in your 11th house, I think you may need to ask yourself this month, are you letting your idealism cloud your more pragmatic decisions, or is there someone immediately around you who may seem to be some kind of ally, but actually is quite a drain on the need for you to focus on what's really essential and meaningful in your situation. And the problem with Mars squaring Neptune is it can create a lot of distortion around our desires. So the very thing that we think we want, or the very person that we're drawn towards, there may be something that's not being shown or revealed that actually could be a major niggle. So just be aware, if you're really motivated towards a particular plan to improve your financial situation, or you're attracted to a collective of some kind, or there is a friend around you that is always giving you a point of view that in some way sees you doubt what you feel you should be doing for yourself, this is an aspect which can cause mischief. Now the 23rd sees Saturn end its retrograde, which began on the 4th of June. Now Saturn retrograde can work in lots of different ways. This period may have seen you really knuckle down and work extraordinarily hard. Application and perspiration are always two parts of the big components of success. It's not just about talent. And because also Saturn is in the sign of the collective, everyone's challenged that's been coming through the global financial crisis that we've been going through. It's all collectively affected us all individually, and that's the square between Uranus in your sign and Saturn in the sector of the collective. May have felt that some of your options were rather limited, but if you've worked really hard to make the most of the opportunities you've had, then that's all you can do. And I think Saturn going forwards now is really going to help you, because by early March next year, it's going to be moving into a very dynamic part of your situation, and you're going to gain a lot more clarity by then, even in the interim, about some of your future plans around your professional aspirations or your role in life. But if you have been taking a lot of extra responsibility for people in your family, perhaps elderly parents, or taking the strain or the load in your professional environment, I think things should ease a little bit from now. Now, the 23rd is a really magical day for you personally, because then the Sun and Venus move into your opposite sign. And then on the 25th, we have that awesome solar eclipse, also embracing the energy of Venus. So the next 6 months could be critical for all sorts of relationships and alliances for you. If you are single, this could trigger someone entering your orbit who could really intrigue and fascinate you. Also, equally, it's an opportunity to embrace the whole concept of diplomacy when it comes to all sorts of relationships. Yes, we can all be bloody minded at times. We can stick to what we feel is right. We can reinforce our boundaries. That's actually very important. But there are times to know when it's better not to sweat the small stuff. And I think that's what Venus in this alliance with the solar eclipse is asking you to consider. Also, Venus can, of course, be about money. You know that. So some kind of alliance with someone else could be very providential for you, particularly because the sign of Scorpio is very much about longer term finance, as well as about how you relate for you personally. Now, the 28th does see Jupiter inverting its retrograde back into your sector of friendship. There may have been a key moment for you around about the 12th of April when they were exactly conjunct, Jupiter and Neptune, the two rulers of this sign. And it is true that once Jupiter goes direct on November the 23rd, that need to get greater clarity about your future plans, which has been affected in some ways by the Neptune square with Mars, that's going to be a very positive development for you. It is the case, however, that by December the 20th, that Jupiter will be moving back into your 12th house. So there's still a lot to go, a lot of time to go, a lot of potential in terms of growing your understanding of the subconscious, the psychological realm, and so forth. And on the 29th, Mercury moves into Scorpio. Mercury loves being in Scorpio, if for nothing else, to really dive deep and observe, calibrate. Wonderful for really thinking deeply about the machinations of your relationships. House 7, remember, for you. But on the 30th, Mars does go retrograde, which will last through to the 12th of January next year. So this does, I feel, really flag the need to be very prudent with resources. I think you have a side to your nature which can be extraordinarily canny, thrifty and shrewd, but you also have another side of your nature which can be quite exuberant, bubbly and somewhat extravagant. So I feel that with the square with Neptune, which is going to be so powerful next month as well, you're just being cautioned towards the end of this month that if there are some non-essential parts of your spending that you can really tighten up on, this would be a smart thing to do. However, having said that, Mercury is going to be challenged through the 25th and 29th by Pluto, and also the Sun and Venus will be challenged by Pluto on the 19th. What does that mean? I think it's because at that point in the month, the 6th house energy, which is very much about obligation, is competing with the 9th house energy from Pluto, which is about power, but your need to be a free spirit. But I think because Venus is so close to your Sun, all through this month, and you have that glorious alliance on that solar eclipse, there's so much to be gained by just letting go of the need to get everything on your own terms. So meeting people in the middle, being collaborative, being cooperative, finding ways to interact where everybody gets some of what they need can be so beneficial for you. So it's an incredibly exciting solar eclipse which really lights up this month quite magically for you, Taurus.